Let's see. What do we got for headlines today? What's going on? Well, it's Friday. That's the most important thing that you need to know. Just keep on telling yourself it's Friday. The weekend's right around the corner. Maybe your weekend started now. I don't know, but that's already great news. But there's more great news because the crooks are being exposed. This I couldn't even imagine or write or try to create or put it into Chat GPT a headline like this. A Massachusetts senator brought a criminal illegal alien to the State of the Union speech and is getting exposed for it now. Not only that, but he called him a great American, and at the speech, he hid him in his office. Perfect. I mean, come on. I'm not making it up, I swear. We've got that going on. Also, Kristi Noem out, Mark Wayne Mullen in at the Department of Homeland Security. I guess there's a lot of reasons floating around. You heard about an affair. You heard about ad spending. It turns out she really did herself in a House hearing earlier this week. We'll talk about that. Little Iran war update. You probably saw these clips about Space Force using infrared to take out Iranian missile complexes from Space Force. Yeah, remember the Democrats mocked that? I'll show you how they're wrong on that. And more to come as well. Thanks for being here. I appreciate you as always. Again, it's Friday. Thanks for finding the Wicked Radio live stream Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. Eastern Time. X, Facebook, YouTube, audio podcast always, and then the replays on those. Let's get right to it. This was amazing. Now, I never expected. Remember last week I was saying I've never talked about a State of the Union speech on air, online, anywhere so much. But there was so many impactful things that came from it. But none more impactful than this because it's just classic. We've got Senator Seth Moulton, probably widely recognized as the dumbest politician in the Senate. I mean, that's tough competition, but he's right up there. Trust me. From the great state of Massachusetts, there's no question I've been asked more from listeners. Decades in radio, right here in the podcast, in the comments, because you guys know, obviously, I'm from New England. I still have so much family there, and I have my heart is still with the people who are still trapped in Massachusetts. The greatest sports fans in the world, that's why I wore my Red Sox hat today, and the absolute complete dumbest voters in America. And there's no doubt about it. And it pains me to say it, but it's true. Because the question I always get asked is this: what is with that state? Like, what is with them? This is like the birthplace of America. This is where we fought the American Revolution. This was where we fought tyranny. How come Massachusetts has become, probably the most captured state in our union? And I've said this for a long time now. I know it's great that all this fraud and corruption is being exposed in Minnesota. I swear to you, and I always say I'm not good at predictions, but I promise you, if Doge and those in this administration that are really working to clean up corruption, if they ever focus their full attention on Massachusetts, it'll make Minnesota look like child's play. I promise you that. That's how corrupt it is. It's unbelievable. You just wait. It'll probably dominate the headlines all of next year. You wait till they focus on the corruption and the illegal immigration in Massachusetts. It will shake you to the core. But anyway, that's how somebody like Seth Moulton gets elected senator in Massachusetts. Now, Seth, and you might have seen this clip already because they made big headlines about it. He had a special guest he brought to the State of the Union. Had a big interview with him. I think CNN did a little interview with them both together. Seth called him a great American. He's my special guest. If he's such a great American and a special guest, why did you hide your guest in your Senate office when the speech was going on? Why would that be? Well, let's go to him and his special guest right now. This was from the State of the Union before it aired last
I'm
week.
here with Marcelo getting ready for the State of the Union tonight. This is going to be a wild speech. They say it might go 3 hours, so you were smart to be drinking Red Bull before. I'm going to have a coffee. There are probably going to be a lot of lies. Yeah. A lot of lies, a lot of hateful stuff that he's going to say. That's what he does. Mm-hmm. How are you feeling about that?
I wouldn't say I'm super excited. There's a lot of morals that he has that I don't agree with. A lot of the things that he's doing lately are separating multiple families, and I don't agree with it.
Oh, did you hear Seth? Did you hear Senator Seth there? There's going to be a lot of lies. Get ready. How do you feel about that? Going to be a lot of lies. How do you feel about that special guest? Well, I'm not too happy about it because he's not a good person. He's separating families. Okay. Well, let's talk about this special guest now that the Boston Herald has released the story. By the way, this is relevant if you know that area as well. There's the Boston Herald and there's the Boston Globe. The Boston Globe is probably second only to the New York Times as far as a propaganda rag for the Democrats and the left. Just the worst. As of right now, for the live stream, not a word from the Boston Globe. Not a word. The Herald, for their part, did a little bit of digging. Good for them. They're not always on it, but they did for this time. Who was the special guest? Who was this great American featured there in that clip from Seth Moulton? Well, the illegal immigrant guest at the State of the Union address is not a good guy. His name is Marcelo Gomez da Silva. And he hid him in his office. This actually happened. The senator hid Marcelo in his office after he fled the State of the Union after a text from DHS calling him out by name for being in the country illegally. He is accused of crimes or being linked to crimes that involve very bad stuff, including assault and with minors. I'm going to leave it at that. We don't need to get into the gross stuff, but he's very much accused and very much wanted by the Department of Homeland Security. But this was Seth Moulton's special guest. Now, you're probably asking yourself, he's a senator. He's busy. Doesn't know. This was a staffer, I'm sure, that, had, hey, we got this Marcelo guy. He wants to be your guest. You can bring him there. It'll be a great thing. You can call him a great American. It'll get you a lot of airtime for your Senate campaign, Senator. It'll get you a lot of airtime. It'll be that. And the senator, being as busy as he is, I'm sure, just said, yeah, that's a great idea. Let's do it. Let's bring him on. We'll get a little airtime. We'll do it. Be my special guest. So that's how it happened, right? Guys, I would love to tell you that's how this happens. That it's just an oversight, and I'm sure they'll explain it away, and they'll say that, and they'll have every excuse in the book, and I'm sure he'll have a press conference today, blah, blah, blah. No. I think he really is, the senator, that is, I think he really is that stupid. I think that we fall into this trap, but we do this also with, like, doctors, professors. We tend to think that they're just brilliant, all of them. Well, if you made it if you're a senator or a U.S. congressman, you're a brilliant person. You're a high intelligence person. No. Again, I'll go back to what I said in the introduction. Seth Moulton is considered by many people in Massachusetts that are actually in politics, some of them even Democrats, as one of the stupidest people ever elected to the halls of Congress. And I think this is a case of where he really was that stupid, and he didn't realize who he was bringing as a special guest. But it's falling right on its face. You couldn't, like I said, you couldn't write this. You couldn't make this up. It's just so classic, and it explains everything that they are. Anyway, so that's a little insight there, and it's just so perfect. A perfect description, a perfect story to tell you where we are. All right, although also big news yesterday, and that's not going to go away, by the way. I can't wait for the press conference from his office. Well, it's, clear we did it. We did it to point out President Trump. He's a bad guy. Yeah, right, whatever. All right, this also happened. Kristi Noem is out. I'm sure you heard this story as Department of Homeland Security. And in comes Markwayne Mullin, the Oklahoma senator. Here's the first reaction from the Democrats, of course. And you could pick any one of them. There were dozens. I picked this one just because he's such a clown. This is J.B. Pritzker. Immediately jumped on and did a video from his office. The governor of Illinois. What does he say about Kristi Noem being out? Let's get his reaction.
Hey, Kristi Noem, don't let the door hit you on the way out. Here's your legacy. Corruption and chaos. Parents and children tear-gassed. Moms and nurses, U.S. citizens getting shot in the face. Now that you're gone, don't think you get to just walk away. I guarantee you, you will still be held accountable.
How dare you? How dare you try to secure our border and clean up our immigration status? Now, how dare you, that fat fool? And him, and there was dozens of them. They're jumping up and down, and Chucky Schumer was all excited and all this other crap. I got to tell you, much like idiot Senator Seth Moulton from Massachusetts, the Democrats' instincts are the worst. They really are. Because if you thought Kristi Noem, and we'll get into her speculation of why she was fired, if you thought she was something, get a load of Markwayne Mullin, the senator coming in. I don't think he's going to put up with much from these people. Anyway, There's a little example of that. This is a clip from last week. Him shoving it right in Bernie Sanders'
No,
face.
I'm going to attack
me.
I'm going to respond. I'm pointing out facts. You can say what you want. I'm just pointing out facts. Anyways, I ranted too long. Let's talk about some.
Yes, you did.
I'm sorry, I didn't ask your opinion on that. And if I cared about your opinion, I would ask you. But I don't care about your opinion.
Well,
you're part of the system. You're part of the problem. You've been sitting here longer than I've even been alive. This is your problem. You should have fixed this a long time ago.
Great point. You should have fixed this a long time ago. You've been sitting there doing nothing, Bernie. Bernie, Mr. Food Lines himself, Bernie Sanders, doing nothing for decades, longer than Mark Wayne Mullen's been alive. He's been in the Senate doing nothing. So if that's the version we're getting for DHS, I don't think the Democrats should be jumping up and down celebrating the ouster of Kristi Noem so far. So there's a lot of controversy about Mark Wayne Mullen and his reaction of January 6th. And he praised the Capitol Police officer. I know that whole story, who shot Ashley Babbitt and all that stuff. But if that's the guy, if that's the version we get that pushes back against the people like Seth Moulton or Bernie Sanders that want to protect illegals, that'll be a good thing. I asked the question, though, too, and we'll get to Kristi Noem here in a second, but I wondered, too, and I was hoping we'd find out about this. Do you ever wonder what it's like to get a position like that? Like, what's the process? Did they pull you? Like, does the White House pull you into the office? Trump sits you down. He's like, Mark Wayne, we're making some changes. I've got a big promotion for you. We'll find somebody to take your Senate seat. Don't worry about it. But you're in charge of DHS now. Does it happen like that? Does he get a call? How does it happen? Well, somebody asked that very relevant question. What's it like when you get a promotion when somebody gets fired in the administration, at least in this administration? Well, he kind of described it.
A little bit of surprise for us. And so the president and I, as you guys know, we're great friends, and we get along great. I look forward to working with him and his cabinet. Of course, we still got to go do this little thing called confirmation, and we're going to get started on it right away.
Tell us about the conversation. What did he say? Did he call you?
You guys have been with me long enough, asked me enough questions. You know I don't share private conversations.
Tell me your reaction. Tell me your
Are you
reaction.
going to the White House today?
I don't think I'm going today. I think I need to talk to my wife first.
Do you
expect to get support from Democrats?
Tell us your reaction when you got the phone call from him.
I was excited. I mean,
when you saw his name called.
Well, it came from the White House, so it came from the switchboard. But I was excited. The president, first of all, the president and I have a really good relationship. We talk all the time.
Then he went to the details of it, and I have to play nice with Trump and all the other stuff, which he did already. He likes him quite a bit. But that's interesting, isn't it? So you get a call on your cell phone. You're just sitting there doing your daily business, and you get a call that says White House switchboard. So if any of you guys or me get a call today and the number comes up and it says White House switchboard, make sure you take the call, all right? Don't put it on hold because you may be getting a new job, because apparently that's how it happens. But how did it all shake down? How did Kristi Noem get fired? There's a lot of speculation. Reuters has been all over this. Even the National Review talking about different ideas. Could have been two things. Could have been both. Could have been one that put it over the top. There were allegations that she had an affair with Corey Lewandowski, who was working in her department. He was part of the first administration, too. There's apparently an affair, and she didn't deny it, blah, 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 blah. By the way, in the hearing last week that got her fired, people did ask her about the affair while her husband was in the room, her current husband. That's got to be just brutal. But I don't think that was the thing that got her fired, because it seems to be, as of this morning anyway, and maybe this will change later, it seems to be those Kristi Noem DHS ads you saw on TV and online. And I think I even talked about them when they first started to release them. I think this was the thing that actually got her canned. You might, for a little review, this is what they all look like. And there were a bunch of them.
I'm Kristi Noem, the United States Secretary of Homeland Security. Thank you, President Donald J. Trump, for securing our border and putting America first. Let me deliver a message from President Trump to the world.
So you'd figure it's praising President Trump. They're 30-second ads. They go out everywhere. You'd think he would love that, right? Why would he ever have a problem with that? Well, he would if he never approved them. And they cost $220 million. Some ad agency, reportedly, got a great Christmas bonus over that one. So that was the deal. And she faced questions about that in that hearing last week from none other than Republicans in her own party, because they had to justify this, and they're getting grilled on this. And they think that it put the entire administration in a bad light. Senator John Kennedy from Louisiana. Senator John Kennedy, with all the common sense, he was the one asking her the question. And apparently, reportedly now, from those who actually know, This is the one that cost her
The
job.
president approved ahead of time you spending $220 million running TV ads across the country in which you are featured prominently.
Yes, sir. We went through the legal processes, did it correctly.
Did the president
worked
know
with
you were going
OMB.
to do this?
Yes.
He did?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay.
And one thing, Senator, I think would be helpful to know is how effective that communications has been.
Sure, it was effective. I'm sure. I remember you and I talked about it here on the podcast. As they were widely reposted. There was a big deal. There were a bunch of them that ran, but at $220 million, really? And here's the final straw. Apparently, as it's being reported, the New York Post has the story saying that this was Trump's. An unnamed source says this was Trump's final straw. He didn't approve them and knew nothing about them, even though in the ads she's clear as day praising him for his efforts in securing the border. She doesn't have the best judgment. So either the affair or that or whatever, or not being able to answer those questions within her own party at that hearing last week. She's gone. So here comes Mark Wayne Mullen. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what this guy's all about. One last thing before we wrap up and head into the weekend. We always have to give a daily Iran war update, right? As they're doubling down, and there's Pentagon press briefings every single day now talking about successes. And hopefully we don't get one of those where there's more American casualties. Nobody wants that. But, and hopefully this whole thing wraps up pretty soon. I would hope so anyway, right? But an interesting development, you probably saw this. From those Pentagon press briefings, you probably saw a lot of the obviously when there's a military accomplishment, they love to brag about it, right? And this is sometimes, unfortunately, this is how you find out about the kind of technology that we have when they actually start to use it. A lot of these missile defense systems they're putting into place are from Space Force. You know, trajectory, they found out where the enemy missile installations are, and then they use brand new technology to take them out from Space Force. Now, you might remember that all the Democrats and the media, they were jumping up and down and they were criticizing President Trump for Space Force, making fun of it. Oh, what does he think this is, Star Trek? Space Force? What a stupid name. When anybody like you with common sense said, well, in this age of satellite technology, those who control lower space pretty much control the Earth. Everybody understood that, except those idiots. Well, Jesse Waters last night, somebody sent me this clip. I didn't see it live, but he did a great job in putting together a bunch of clips of all the Democrats who were mocking Space Force. And then he wrapped it up with something great about the success and the importance of it. Just a few years after the entire War Department was named, Space Force, that branch of it, a new branch of the military, and how effective it's been in wiping out tyrannical Islamic Iranians.
Space Force was a joke.
No one asks how we're going to pay for this Space Force.
If there's no threat in space, who are we fighting? Satellites?
When Trump talks about Space Force, he makes it sound like we're going to be on a rocket riding to the moon, like Space Force, riding up there and killing aliens.
Joke's on them. Space Force is a critical mission right now. They deployed heat-seeking infrared beams that detect missiles the second they launch so that our guys can take shelter when the rockets get neutralized.
That's the effectiveness of Space Force, which is, again, a daily reminder. I know you knew anyway, but it's a reminder to me and all of us. Don't ever listen to idiot Democrats when they start talking about military things or really anything. Not the best judgment. Perfect example of that. Let's keep an eye through the weekend to see if there's any reaction to Massachusetts Senator Seth Moulton taking it criminal illegal to the State of the Union address. I can't wait to see them dig out of it. Or maybe they just don't say anything. That's a possibility. Watch out for that, because they may be covered and protected by the media. They may be. He may not even make a press conference about this. We'll see. We'll play it by ear. Most importantly, you got a weekend on your hands. Enjoy it. Be safe, please. Pray for our American troops that no more lives are lost and this thing wraps up soon, obviously. And in the meantime, thanks for checking out the live stream Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. Eastern Time on X and Facebook and YouTube. And then the audio podcast, which I'm about to post, will go on all your favorite audio podcast platforms. Then the replay is on those channels. And you know how it works. Whatever. Make it a wicked awesome Friday and weekend. And I will talk to you on Monday.